Alrighty, let's go. Just outside of the home of the Bears, one of the most unique courses in the American Midwest greets us for race 5 of the season. Hi, hello, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Chicago Motor Speedway for race 5 of the Fuel Grand National Series, the Round of Chicago. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's Intercast here on the North American Sim Racing Network. My name is Trey Wright, joined alongside the Colonel himself, Mr. Caleb Rose, and we are getting ready for one heck of a race here this evening, just outside of Cicero, Illinois, for race number 5 of what has been an exciting season so far for the Fuel Grand National Series. Caleb, Chicago is one of the flattest tracks not only on this Season 7 schedule, but one of the flattest tracks in America. And this is going to be quite the challenging and technical race for these drivers. The race is a lot like the Milwaukee Mile, but it's just a lot flatter in that regard. How technical is a track like the Chicago Motor Speedway?
Definitely a very technical racetrack is the Chicago Motor Speedway. Definitely a lot different from the track that precedes it out there in Joliet, Illinois. So definitely ought to make for a very interesting race. Definitely a lot shorter in length, and like you kind of touched on, a very, very flat, honestly kind of slippery surface. So it's going to be definitely very interesting to see how these guys will race this track here tonight. But I can definitely say one thing: it's going to be a very, very exciting race. It's going to be very interesting to see who all we see fighting up here towards the front and who will eventually get it done here from the Chicago Motor Speedway.
Have quite a few drivers who could potentially get it done. The one that we'll be watching at the top of the boards is the teammate to that car right there of Jelaine Sims, the number 88 of Zach Rogers, who has been dominating this season so far. Here's we take a look at the point standings. Zach Rogers with an 85-point lead over Vincenzo Focusato coming in to this evening's race at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Apollo Hyde, Nicky Conti, and RJ Bishop rounding out the top 5 as we take a look at RJ Bishop going around there in car number 28. Got quite a few new faces here on the grid as Brendan Whitford spins that 131 car around, and some new paint schemes for a lot of these drivers out here, and it's a good reason why as we take a look at 37 of Vincenzo Focusato. Tonight is an unofficial TM Master Cup Series theme here at the Chicago Motor Speedway, and Ian Cooper is making their presence known here on the track this evening. So a lot of TM Master Cup Series throwbacks here, such as Rich Roy. We'll go over the throwbacks here in just a couple of moments throughout the entire race, and we are going to get the server backed up here in just a couple of moments to make sure everybody has the correct car numbers. But a lot of new paint schemes. Emmy Schizzato representing the Cubbies, not the Bears. There in that number 9 machine is practice wrapping up here in just a couple of moments. Zach Rogers setting the fastest time along with Jelaine Sims. So both of those team velocity machines at the top end of the charts here for this evening's race, and it's certainly going to be one whale of a race. Qualifying is underway. And Caleb, of course, Zach Rogers, one of the more prominent names in the online scene as a server will get rolled back here, so we'll take a short moment to get things back underway. But Caleb, Zach Rogers has been just nothing short of dominant in the 4 races we have seen so far this season. You know, what's it going to take to beat him, especially at a technical track like this, the kind of track that a guy like Zach Rogers can dominate at?
Considering the momentum that Zach has gotten into these first couple of races of the season, he's been absolutely on fire, and I definitely think a technical track like this will definitely suit his skill set. But still, we have a lot of strong drivers here in this field, like Apollo Hyde, like Doug LaPrade, that I think can definitely take wheel there with the 88 of Zach Rogers. We'll have to see what ends up shaking out, but Rogers, he might have to fight for this one, but I definitely would expect that 88 to be very strong here tonight.
He definitely will. Sat at the top of the pole, or sat at the top of practice with a 29.83 second lap. As the server gets rolled back here. Taking a quick break for qualifying with 2:43 to go in qualifying. We'll take a look at the qualifying results there on your screen. But again, certainly quite a few races remaining on the calendar. We've got Chicago here tonight, not like the Chicago Land Speedway, like you said, a very different style of racing. We see Chicago Motors, or rather, we've seen the Chicago Motor Speedway in quite a little bit of media, the most prominent being the movie Driven, and to call Driven a movie is kind of like saying an oily rag is something better than an oily rag. Basically, Driven is driven. If you know, you know. But overall, really underrated track here out in Cicero. And the Round of Chicago, of course, Trek Togger being the main sponsor of this race here this evening. Zach Rogers, top of the board, a 29.809 second lap. Nearly a second faster than Nicky Conti, who's right now on the outside pole position in the 85. So everybody's Q laps will come back into frame here. I imagine Zach is going to go quite a bit faster on his second Q lap, Caleb.
Definitely, and already he's got quite a bit of a leg up on the field. Never mind, Apollo Hyde just set the fastest time, a 10th faster than Rogers, but Rogers will best that on his second lap by just a little bit. So Rogers looking to win the pole, but that was a good first lap by Apollo Hyde. So we'll have to see if the 100 machine can go maybe here on the second lap and maybe dethrone that 88 opposition.
19 cars on the scoring pylon. We've got 22 entries into this race so far. I believe either 22 or 23 entries. 21 cars have qualified this race. Zach Rogers right now on the pole position by 0.3 of a second over Apollo Hyde. Qualifying will commence here in about 45 seconds time. But it's going to be another fantastic race here for the 5th installment of season number 7. Of course, we got Zach Rogers dominating the point standings. It's 4 for 4 so far. Like we mentioned, might have to get him a Wendy's gift card for that 4 for 4. And let's see if he can go 5 for 5 here this evening. A couple other new drivers on the grid, or rather returning drivers. Got Connor Edwards, who made their debut at Michigan last week. Bill Turner is back in the server. Glad to see him. Same thing with Crystal Bennett. Drew Fast looking to make up for that mistake that both he and the 74 of Dunlop-Prod made. This qualifying has been completed. And everybody besides Trevor Davis and Emi Schizzato putting down a lap. 23 cars in order to start this race here this evening. And of course, Zach Rogers on the pole position. He looks to go wire to wire in this race here this evening as we take a look at the starting lineup. Emi Schizzato will be starting 23rd on the grid. Both neither Caleb or I are racing in this race here this evening, but again, it's especially with a flat track like this, Caleb, tire wear is going to mean literally everything. Because you're gonna be abusing the crap out of those right side tires with the loads that they'll be putting in here. Certainly gonna mean something for a lot of these drivers here on just an aggressive amount of tire wear at this track.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Those right sides are going to pretty much be the backbone for these cars running around this racetrack. It's pretty much what the car's leading on, and those tires especially going to wear out really, really quickly, especially if these guys are going to be sending it into the corners really, really deep. So we'll have to see how much of a wrench that'll throw into things. We'll have to see. But, tire wear definitely going to be a very, very important aspect of tonight's race.
Absolutely is. We'll take a look at the race analysis here for the Round of Chicago. We got 23 entries. It's going to be a 76-lap feature race here for about 75 miles. A 75-mile race, I should say. The point of no return, 5 laps to go, as we're accustomed to. It's exactly a 1 mile oval even, maybe a little bit of a smidge more, and of course, got 6 degrees of banking in the corners compared to the Milwaukee Mile, which over on the Mission Barbecue Cup Series side of things has 9.25 degrees of banking in the corners. That is the flattest track we go to. On the offline side of things, this is 3 degrees shorter of banking. And it's basically half of the banking of Martinsville, and Martinsville is the flattest track on the Cup Series schedule. Of course, we expected these guys to go about 38 to 40 laps on tires, a little bit longer in terms of fuel like we're accustomed to. And again, you see how flat this track is. You got pit entrance and a pit exit there on your track map. And overall, this is going to be probably the most technical track outside of Mid-Ohio, which we'll go to next week for the Bum and Beaver Brewery Mid-Ohio Grand Prix. Same time here on the North American Sim Racing Network in 1 week's time with Zach Rogers, trying to keep that streak going. He has really been Mr. September on the online side of things, definitely here in the Fuel Grand National Series, and he's had a lot of success outside of the Fuel Racing League. We'll hopefully get another chance to talk to him during the post-race interviews later on this evening after this race has reached its conclusion. We got about 2 minutes left in happy hour. And there's a look at that 2 machine of Ian Cooper, the next best NR2000, the NR2K3 Tracks.com. Honda Accord running that same Honda manufacturer and model as Apollo Hyde in the 100. Got Blake Warren running the Dale Jr. KFC scheme. And a couple other new schemes representing the TM Master Cup Series. Of course, Dunloprod's Darlington Throwback, a TM Master Cup Series car. I didn't realize this about Vincenzo Focasato, but his 37 Momo car was also a TM Master Cup Series car as well. We'll have to see what he will be able to do as Apollo Hyde nearly runs over Buddy Compost. Glad to see Kenny back on the grid after a 2-week hiatus in that 79 car. It's going to be a really good race. Track temperature at about 90-95 degrees, so it's going to be nice and slick as we see Bill Turner making his return. That 18 car. First time we've seen that Interstate Batteries 18. And now Trek Togger in the 60, that Mont Black car. Another throwback to the Master Cup Series. And there's a good look at the 30 or the 35 machine. Trevor Davis in the Goodyear car. Have that marked down on my screen. It's the 32. He's running the 35 as a couple of newcomers nearly getting together there with the 2 of Ian Cooper. Got about 30 seconds to go here in practice. Would like to thank everybody for tuning in to tonight's live coverage. The Fuel Grand National Series here at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Glad we could have everybody aboard for what is going to be another great race here this evening. And I believe we're maybe dropping a couple of frames here, so we're going to go ahead and change the output just so everybody can follow along at home. Thank you so much, Blake, for putting that in the chat. But again, go in with your top-down qualifying order, as Blake is going to beach that 8 machine. Zach Rogers, Apollo Hyde, the front row. Row 2, Dunloprod and Jelaine Sims. Nicky Conti and Tyler Stallhood will start in row 3. Crystal Bennett and Ike Durbin, row 4. Drew Fast and Ian Cooper round out the top 10. Rafaela Sorensen and Vincenzo Focasato in row 6. Trek Togger and RJ Bishop, row 7. Kenny Compost and Andrew Estrada in row 8. Rich Roy and Connor Edwards, row 9. Brandon Whitford, Bill Turner in row number 10. We'll send it down trackside for the most famous words in motorsports here in just a couple of moments as we get ready to turn them on and grid them up here for race number 5 of the Fuel Grand National Series Season 7, the Round of Chicago at the Chicago Motor Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines.
And the engines roar to life here at the Chicago Motor Speedway, getting ready for 75 laps of action here in Cicero. Zach Rogers starts on the pole position. You got the 100 machine, Apollo High next to him in row number 1. Don LaPrade and Jelaine Sims in row 2. Nicky Conti, Tyler Stallhood in row number 3. Going to be a great race here this evening. That is absolutely a fact there. Zach Rogers getting ready to lead this field towards the Reese's restart zone. You'll see the green flag waving in the air. There it is, out and away for race 5. The round of Chicago is live.
Boogity. Oh, RJ Bishop around into turn 1.
And a big, massive crash. Ike Durbin, side over side, barrel rolling a couple of cars upside down on the opening lap of the race. And it did not take long for us to get our first caution flag of the evening. Lap 1, turn 1. Zach Rogers will win the race back to the caution flag. And that is not what you wanted to see, as both of those drivers starting midway through the field. Durbin starting in 8th. And RJ Bishop got caught up in it at the last moment as well. Looks like Andrew Estrada may have caught a piece, and we're going to get a single restart here on the race. So we're going to pretend that didn't happen, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and make sure, get everything reset here for a restart of the race. So, of course, we all get a restart here in the Fuel Grand National Series. So, once again, we'll send it down trackside. The most famous words in motorsports, so we'll get take number 2 underway here in Cicero.
Drivers, start your engines.
So we'll go ahead with take number 2 here for the start of tonight's race. And Caleb, after a start like that, I think it's safe to say we're in for a pretty wild one here for 75 laps of action.
After a start like that, I definitely think we can expect a lot more action than we were maybe anticipating here tonight. But, hey, we got a reset of us. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But this definitely ought to be good.
It looked like Hyde and Rogers were really even on that initial start. We'll see if Hyde is able to get another really decent jump onto Rogers. But the pace car back down the pit lane. Take 2 here in Chicago. Green flag is out and away. Zach Rogers leads them down. We're underway for race 5.
Boogity once again.
A little tight into the corner there for the 74 of LaPrade, and everybody is able to get through corner number 1 and 2 nice and orderly. There we go down the back straightaway, and here comes Hyde trying to file back in line in that 100, and Zach Rogers will go to the point.
Whoa,
Somebody
no,
nearly going around. Vocasato and the 42 of Rafaela Sorensen around in turns 3 and 4.
Whoa.
Caution flag number 1 will come out anyway. And that was our only attempt at a restart. We're able to get 1 lap of action in. And a couple of cars going around in turns 3 and 4. We're under the caution flag officially for the first time this evening, but we made it through turns 1 and 2 nice and orderly. I don't think everybody was prepared for turns 3 and 4. Multi-car incident entering turn number 3, and it looks like a couple of cars will come down the pit lane. Trek Togger will bring that Mont Blanc number 60 car into the service area. Same thing with a couple of other drivers. Ike Durbin, Brendan Whitford, Ian Cooper, and Crystal Bennett down into the service area to bring their cars in. But the majority of the field staying out here, being led by the 88 of Zach Rogers. So everybody will make some pit stops here on lap number 3. We'll go ahead and take a look and see what happened on that opening lap of the race to put us under the caution flag for the first time tonight here at the Chicago Motor Speedway, and I believe it may have started with Vincenzo Focusato and Rafaela Sorensen. I believe it was Trek Togger that got way out of shape entering the corner. We'll do a slow-mo replay here as Togger, way out of shape in the 60 car, slides up into Rafaela, nowhere for Focusato to go, and everybody just trying to scramble out of the way like ants. RJ Bishop, I believe he got into Andrew Estrada, and 3/4 of the Millennium Autosports quartet involved in that caution. If you include Ike Durbin's crash on the initial start attempt at this race, that is all 4 Millennium Autosport Mazdas being taken out in this wreck. And not what you want to see for the boss man of Vincenzo Focusato. But nonetheless, getting back to the green flag here in just a couple of moments. An aggressive start to the race, Caleb. Is that a sign of things to come here in the rest of these 70 laps left here in the round of Chicago?
Well, honestly, it's kind of hard to tell because, of course, the early stage of the race, the aggression's already high. Everyone's trying to go for what they can when everybody is still kind of close together. And unfortunately, sometimes things can boil over quite early, but we'll see how the rest of the race goes. But a very chaotic start there, so we'll have to see if it continues on. We'll just have to wait and see.
Well, we'll get another attempt at a complete lap here. It's Hyde and Rogers side by side going back through the restart zone. Rogers, Hyde, Laprade, and Sims, your top 4. Green flag back out, and a really good shove there out of Sims. Pushing their Team Velocity teammate out to a decent spot. Hyde stuck up on the outside lane. They're door-to-door for second. Nearly on top of one another, and Hyde got really tight out of the center of the corner. He's able to keep that second spot away from Sims, trying to dive it in deep on the 88, but not quite able to get there. Rogers off of turns 3 and 4 will lead the first green flag lap of the evening, but it is a complete hornet's nest back in here. There's Connor Edwards in the O2 machine to the inside of RJ Bishop, trying to make up some spots in that 28 car. Ike Durbin also trying to be on the move as well, and on the flat part of the racetrack for Edwards, he's going to lose a lot of ground in that Plan B Sales Camaro. He'll go all the way towards the tail end of the field as the field will roll through turns 3 and 4, and Hyde not letting Rogers out of the gun sights of that Honda. That Red Bull Camaro running on rails right now as Focusato darts down to the inside of an automobile going into turn 1. And it looks like pretty much everybody trying to figure things out way wide through the corner, and Blake Warren spins it around and gets pile driven by the 0-2. Caution flag is back out as Crystal Bennett also caught a piece. And Blake Warren got loose right on the flat part of the racetrack there in that KFC car. Doesn't look like it's smoking a little bit. Doesn't look like the chicken's done in that KFC car. But Caleb, I know you as the Colonel, kind of sad to see that KFC car go for a little bit of a southern spin.
That's a tough right there for Blake Warren. Just like I said, kind of a slippery racetrack. Sent it in a little too deep, kind of hit that transition wrong, and that send the car sideways. Pretty much like taking the wheels out from underneath you. And unfortunately, Blake Warren going sideways there. And fortunate that Sorensen, Edwards, and Bennett got caught up there. Pretty much nowhere that they could go. But we're already under our second caution of the night here at the Chicago Motor Speedway.
Well, prior to the race, we did say the over-under for cautions was set at 6.5, and pretty much the entire server was relatively split on that number. So we'll go back and see what happened, although we did in fact see it live. And for the most part, Blake Warren getting down to the inside. And we saw Connor Edwards get loose behind Warren. But Warren, I don't know if that was just the slipperiness of the racetrack. If he got maybe a little aero loose underneath the Focus Auto. But around goes the 8 car. And yeah, Edwards pile drives the 8. And Rafael Sorensen involved in their second incident of the evening. Same thing with the 84 of Bennett. And again, just an unfortunate situation there for a lot of these drivers, especially for Blake Warren. It's been a tough start to the season for that KFC machine. You know, he's been able, just trying to get top 10 in the points standings. But, you know, he said during practice and qualifying that he might struggle a little bit out of the gate, just trying to figure things out. Struggling a little bit there to bring out caution number 2 of the evening. Zach Rogers continues to show the way in that Red Bull Camaro, has led all 9 laps so far of this race. It hasn't been as chaotic as we've seen some races previously. Of course, we were mentioning the New Hampshire race prior to the broadcast going on air. How that race last year had 15 caution flags, and this track race is a lot like New Hampshire in terms of how flat it is, although New Hampshire a little bit tighter of corner radii compared to Chicago. Hopefully we won't have another more than 7 caution race here this evening, as we've only got 7 branded cautions on the scorebug. We're knocking on wood, knocking on ping pong table. Rogers, Hyde, Sims, Laprade, and Drew Fast, the top 5. First time we're seeing that 4 car up inside the top 5 of the grid. Back to the gears we go. Green flag back out and away, and a nice shove on the inside once again from Sims. The field will fan out. Up the racetrack goes Turner and Durbin, but they're able to hold on to their cars. Oh, Turner into the outside wall off of turn 2, keeps that car straight for now, and Hyde trying for the crossover move in turn 3, not going to quite get it.
Oh, Crystal!
Oh, and Bennett going around on the 84.
And caution is out.
The caution flag is once again out.
Tonight.
I believe that was a multi-car incident between Bennett and maybe either Warren or Estrada. We're already under our 3rd caution flag of the evening, and Caleb, it looks like the pace car might be leading the most laps here at Chicago for the time being. But it's definitely not what you want. Not even 11 laps into this race, we're already at our 3rd caution. Zach Rogers has led every single lap so far. Yosis Medea. All I've got to kind of say about that for the most part is Drew Fast will give up his spot to come down the pit lane. Same thing with Nicky Conti. And I believe we're dropping some more frames here. Yeah, this is a very detailed track at Chicago, so I believe we might have to drop the bit rate even more. So we'll do that here while we're on the replay before we'll take a look and see what happened to Crystal Bennett. Again, with the details of this track, it's kind of unfortunate that we have to do this at some points, but yeah, you want, I think everybody would rather a decent frame rate and a halfway decent quality as long as you can see the cars going relatively quickly. So we're not at the replay just quite yet. So we take a look and see what happened, and yeah, Strada just incidentally getting into the back end of the 84 Charger, and around goes Crystal. Backs that Lowe's Charger into the outside wall. No harm, no foul, but it does put us under the caution flag once again. And Zach Rogers continuing to show the way in car number 88. So we'll get another restart here, Caleb. Certainly looking like this is going to be the crash fest that we typically see pretty much once a season here in Fuel.
Definitely a very chaotic start to this race. We'll see if we can maybe get a green flag run in, but I don't know. As the way it's looking right now, it's like I said, it's been a very chaotic race here so far.
3 caution flags for 9 laps under caution. We're working lap number 14. Everybody has been relatively next to one another so far. Zach Rogers hasn't been able to really get out away from everybody. Green flag back out and away. A little bit of a jam up on the outside lane for Emi Schizzato. Trying to fire to the outside of Jelaine Sims. They're going to be 3 wide going through the corner. Oh, and around going Schizzato. Got a tap from Tyler Stolhood. Around going Kenny Campos. And the caution flag back out immediately. Caution flag number 4, and you had a feeling that was going to start right at the drop of the green flag. Where Schizzato was trying to bite off a little bit more than they could chew and just got a little tap from Stallhood going through the apex. And anarchy ensuing once again. It looks like Ian Cooper was also caught up in that accident. Man, oh man. Oh my lord.
And the curse of the Chicago Cubs that seemed to go away after the 2016 World Series has unfortunately seems to have struck Emi Schizzato here.
Yeah. I mean, the Cubs will be making the playoffs this year. We'll see what they're able to do coming out of the NL Central. But Zach Rogers has not led the most laps in this race, and we're going to get a quickie yellow here. We're going to get a single file restart. So since we saw that incident live, we're already going back to the green flag. We're not going to get a replay live. Yeah, I have no idea why this bitrate is being this high. I've got it set to 10,000 right now. Oh, 15,000. That's probably... I meant to set it to 10,000. That is probably the reason why. So hopefully we'll cap the bitrate at 10,000. That should help things. But already, lap number 17. 58 to go when we get back here. We'll see if we can finally get a nice green flag run. I don't know. Hopefully we can, but hope is not a tactic. But that's the only thing we've got here is we're already 4 cautions in. It's Tyler Stallhood doing a restart of shame, and a really good jump there for the 88. Way up the racetrack goes Durbin. Through turns 1 and 2, down the back straightaway. Looking solid so far here on a single file restart. It's LaPrade jumping to the outside of the 100 car. Door to door off the turns 3 and 4. LaPrade on the outside, Hyde on the inside. It looks like hopefully, and Hyde getting loose in 1 and 2. Single car spin. A really good job out of Hyde to loop that 100 machine around, but it's definitely going to cost her a lot of spots.
Yeah, no caution for that either. That's so bully.
She got loose on the flat part of the racetrack on the inside. That's certainly the slickest part of the track like we've seen all evening long. Oh, Fast and Whitford banging off of each other off of the corner. They were able to hold on to it for the time being, and a lot of drivers trying to get as much as they can chew, trying to get as much grip as they can on that inside part of the track, but it's certainly costing a lot of them, and you saw it cost Apollo Hyde, who falls all the way back to 12th after that single car spin. Oh, and RJ Bishop back the car into the outside wall off of turn 4. He'll lose a spot to the 29 of Roy.
It's sideways going into 1 and 2.
Everybody's starting to lose quite a bit of grip here on the racetrack as Jelaine Sims and Dunlaprod in a battle for second. All this happening behind Zach Rogers, who is... It's fitting that he's got the Connor Zilich car. Or Connor Zilich looking car. You know, Red Bull 88. Camaro for Junior Motorsports. Even though that is a Cody Lamas paint scheme. Still racing a lot like... Racing a lot like Connor Zilich in that Red Bull Camaro. You got Chevrolets 1, 2, 3 right now. Mazda running 4th and 5th. And how about this for Ike Durbin? Kept his nose clean after that initial crash on the opening attempt of this race. See Vincenzo Focasato, a little bit of damage on the rear end of that Momo Mazda. Remember, he was caught up in that opening lap crash. He's able to fight his way towards the front end of the field right now, rocking P4. Of course, Zach Rogers, what else can you really say about the guy? And I'm just realizing now, the Rich Roy running all the way up in 5th right now, rather 6th from Millennium Autosport, so MM has got 3 of their cars up inside the top 10. Andrew Estrada, the 4th car in that lap, in that quartet right now running in 16th, and a really good recovery for Apollo Hyde after that self-spin, all the way back up to 7th, plus 5 after that, trying to get underneath of Rich Roy for another spot. Can she get down to the inside of the 29? They'll be side by side down the back straightaway. And Hyde is going to pick up another spot, Caleb.
Definitely got to give Apollo Hyde a lot of credit so far in the recovery after spinning out there through 1 and 2 as their way back up now into the 6th position now is that 100 machine. And especially considering that their tires are probably roasting on an open fire right now after that spin. Definitely got to give Hyde a lot of credit for marshalling their way back up here to the 6th position.
We definitely do, and we're going to go ahead and lower our output a little bit further because I don't know what... It's these John Norton tracks, man. They're so detailed, but at the cost of details, it's just frame rate issues that we're having. We've already dropped 614 frames, which doesn't sound like a lot as Blake Warren getting put a lap down by the race leaders. Jelaine Sims up to 2nd. But it just, these John Norton tracks put a lot...
Bishop is around in 1 and 2.
Bishop with a self-spin out of 1 and 2. That does not bring out the caution flag. He was running in 9th, and he will fall all the way down to about 20th. And a bad day getting worse for Bishop as he will take that Mobile 1 Mustang down into the pit area.
Kenny Campos getting into it with Connor Edwards on the front stretch.
And the same thing, Rich Roy getting turned around in the turns 1 and 2. Roy was running in 7th at the time. You mentioned Kenny Campos getting into it with Edwards. And the chaos is brewing here at Chicago. And what has been our longest green flag run of the afternoon, but we've had several single car incidents during this run. And another Millennium Autosport automobile having an issue. 3 cars dropping towards the tail end of the field and there and being in danger. Being put a lap down right here. Definitely not what you want to see out of those guys, especially for Rich Roy, who was running inside the top 10, was having a fantastic race up to that point. He's got a little too greedy on that slippery part of the racetrack, like we said, and it's unfortunately all downhill from there. Bill Turner has pulled his 18 machine behind the wall. 21 cars remain on track. 19 of them are on the lead lap. Blake Warren and RJ Bishop are a lap down each. It's RJ coming back down the pit lane. I believe he might be calling it a day here as Blake Warren nearly got run over there by Apollo Hyde off of 4. That would have been dangerous there as Hyde has been all over the place, but she's already up, still in 6th, was able to pick off another spot. Still just trying to track down that 86 Mazda of Durbin. Right now, 45 laps to go. A little bit of net coding issue there for the 0-2 of Connor Edwards. Nearly got ran over by Jelaine Sims. Sims will go to the inside of the 0-2. Same thing with LaPrade. Up the racetrack goes that 0-2 machine of Edwards, and he's able to hold on to it. This has been a really good battle for second brewing right now between Sims and LaPrade. Of course, LaPrade running that throwback machine for the TM Master Cup Series. Trying to remember exactly what car that is. That is a Scott Studler Camelot Racing. Hershey's number 74 throwback that he ran at Darlington. We'll go through some of the throwbacks here as well. This is a throwback to Craig Mummert's James Dalton Racing number 29 machine. The Rich Roy is running is currently 1 lap down. Of course, Vincenzo Focusato running that Momo car that he ran for Millennium Autosport during the TM Master Cup Series days as well, and kind of looks like the rear end of a TM Master Cup Series car. Same thing with Ike Durbin, throwing it back to Tom Levin's Kingston Enterprises machine for Sin Fine. Seeing who else is running TM Master. Throw back and hard into the outside wall. RJ Bishop. The caution flag is back out right as we were going through the field. We saw that on the top of your screen. And Bishop went hard into the outside wall in turn number 2 and completely destroyed that number 28 machine. And the caution flag is back out for the 5th time this evening. You had a feeling our longest green flag run of the night was going to end at some point, Caleb.
Yeah, it was nice to go green there for a little bit, but cleanliness of it was definitely kind of up in the air. But yeah, it was a fortunate break there for RJ Bishop, which unfortunately not the best of runs there for Bishop. Had a couple of incidents there during that run, unfortunately going to end up there in the outside wall. So really, really tough break there for RJ Bishop. But that's going to be a pretty timely caution, as it looks like it's going to draw, honestly, maybe pretty much everybody here down the pit lane.
It'll draw the leaders down into the service area. Zach Rogers, who has led all 35 laps of this race so far, will come to the attention of his pit crew. Jelaine Sims running in second for a 1-2 Team Velocity. We'll follow these drivers into the pit lane, and a really good entry there for pretty much everybody. We'll see if anybody goes for strategy here. We'll rack them back up. I wouldn't be surprised if Apollo Hyde potentially maybe takes 2 tires to get some track position in the 100, but it looks like she's going to take 4. And how about this? Dunn LaPrade getting ahead of Jelaine Sims off the pit lane. He'll go to second. Taking advantage of being ahead of Sims in terms of the pit stalls. And Apollo Hyde coming off 4th.
Hey.
Really good recovery for Hyde after spinning, running for the 5th spot. Rather, running for the 3rd spot. Fell back to 12th. She's already made her way all the way back up to 4th. And we'll see what they'll do here on the restart in just a couple of moments. But first, we'll go ahead and take a quick look and see what happened. Put us under the caution flag for the 5th time this evening, and I believe that 28 car has taken it to the garage area, and RJ has not taken it to the garage area just yet. We'll see what happened here. Oh, and this started ahead of RJ Bishop. This all started with Emmy Schizzato getting turned around in the 9. So Schizzato gets turned around, just gets loose on the flat part of the racetrack. And Andrew Estrada chases it all the way up the racetrack. And, well, looks like, I don't know if that was did the server crash? Or was that just a crash on my end, Caleb? Oh boy. Well, that is an unfortunate crash on our end here, so some technical difficulties. Here on the NESRN, once again, the second week in a row, and it's just kind of unfortunate. Might be, I don't know, I might buy Alex's computer off of him, to be honest with you, because I saw that Talladega was getting retired, so hopefully once... I mean, if he's getting rid of that, if it's still a solid computer, it's better than the desktop. It's definitely going to be better than the desktop that I've got right now. I think that's for certain. That is very unfortunate. But we're going to get GNL restarted, and we should get things restarted here in just a moment. So... I think we're going to get in here just in time for the green flag out and away.
Flag back out. A great jump by Zach Rogers.
And of course, we've got the negative stuff going on here once again. I don't know. It's whenever you jump into a server late, even though I restarted GNL, it's... I don't know why it does that. We got negative 39 to go. But fastest lap of the race belonging to Zach Rogers right here and right now. And we'll stick back here. I don't know. I genuinely might be in the market to get a new computer, Caleb, because this is... the third time that NR has crashed on me. This is the third time in the last 2 weeks I've reinstalled NR. And it always crashes when I'm on a replay. It's the strangest thing. I don't know if you have issues with that on your end. Sims is around LaPrade.
Definitely run into that issue a little bit on my end as well.
I don't know if it's just the game being old for pretty much everybody. You know, we're approaching...
No, true fast goes around.
Fast going around all the way in the back, and that'll bring the caution flag back out. Here on lap number 41.
25 as well.
I believe that is our 6th caution flag of the evening in what has been a very, very chaotic afternoon here in Cicero, Illinois. It's been a chaotic evening all over the place. Zach Rogers continuing to lead around here on lap number 42. I believe Andrew Estrada is going to get a lap back there in that number 25 car. Everybody will stay out here. A couple of drivers will like to come down the pit lane. One of them being 29 of Rich Roy, Brandon Whitford, and Drew Fast, of course, coming down. And we're going to get a quick yellow here, so we'll try to get you a quick replay since we did not see that live. You'll see the replay here. Fast diving into the corner and got a little tap from behind from Brendan Whitford. Around he went. Everybody was trying to scatter around. Andrew Estrada also going around back in there. So lap 43 of this 75-lap feature race here. And Zach Rogers has led all 42 laps of this contest. Of course, with the GNL crash. The 43 to go at the top of this screen, that is actually the lap count. That's why it's counting up instead of down for the negative 43. It's weird. It's GNL. But nonetheless, green flag back into the air here on lap 44, and Zach Rogers has been a car in a parade right now. It's been a race dominated by both him and Sims. Laprade on the back end, really in a battle for third right now between Laprade and Hyde. 6 cautions into this race. A couple of drivers continuing to fall in the back. Rogers has been mistake-free so far.
Honestly, Rogers has probably driven the closest thing you could probably get to a perfect race so far up to this, but his restarts have been on point here so far here tonight. He's had to go through quite a few of them. We'll definitely have to give Zach a huge amount of props there, but still got this second half of this race left to go, and anything could happen. And honestly, our top 4 not really letting each other get away.
No, this has been the class of the field so far, and this has been the class of the field pretty much every time we go to. It's these 4 drivers that are always together. You know, it's Rogers at the forefront, Jelaine Sims, who is in their 3rd race of the season, and Bishop going around in the back. He's going to self-spin that 28 car. Is the yellow flag back out? It is not. And a bad day continuing to get worse for Bishop. And nothing much you can really do there for RJ. He was running fairly well at Michigan last week. But has had a couple of incidents. A couple of incidents have brought out the caution flag, and the others haven't really helped him a whole lot. And I believe now Bishop will likely pull it behind the wall and a tough day, and he indeed will. He will join. It looks like
White Durbin. Oof.
Blake Warren, I believe Blake Warren has pulled it behind the wall, so Blake Warren, Bill Turner, and RJ Bishop in the garage area for 18, make that 19 cars still out on track. 17 of them are on the lead lap here as we close in this final 25-lap run, and Zach Rogers has led all 48 laps so far tonight, but has an entourage behind him. Part of that entourage starting to fight amongst each other. Here comes Hyde to the inside of Laprade. Battle for third. Heating up there for a brief moment as Hyde will think better of it. Ducks back down right behind Laprade. And the rest of this field is pretty much checked out from the rest of the top 10. Vincenzo Focusata, who is battling an ill-handling race car. You see the damage on the rear end of that Mazda. He's trying to battle back in that 37. A good top 10 run for Nicky Conti, and Rafaela Sorensen drew fast with a really good recovery so far. Ike Durbin has slipped back to 9th, and a good recovery for Ian Cooper as well. He rounds out the top 10. Not bad for his first fuel race of the season as Crystal Bennett knocks down the wall, turn 4. 25 laps to go. Coming around this time by, and Zach Rogers has been picture perfect so far in this race. Hyde looking for another attack to the inside of Laprade. He's not quite able to plant that 100 to the inside. Laprade got a little bit tight going through the corner. That might be what Apollo needs. These two continuing to fight amongst one another. Hyde got really loose as Laprade got tight. Actually, swap that the other way around. Hyde got tight, Laprade got loose.
Apollo up to 3rd.
Looking for the spin and win, or maybe the spin and podium, like we saw in Michigan 1 week ago. Just one thing we've learned about Apollo Hyde, especially over this summer and fall, is that there is just no quit out of that 100 camp. I think we've seen how many times Apollo Hyde has gotten spun around at some point in the race. And the call, oh boy.
Estrada.
Andrew Estrada bringing out our 7th caution of the evening. That was right on the front straightaway in front of everybody. And another green flag run being interrupted. So We've hit the over in terms of cautions. We've hit our final branded caution. Got to start putting the 8th and 9th caution on the screen as Zach Rogers coming down the pit lane. This is going to be the money stop for these drivers. Under 25 to go. They can mathematically make it to the end from here. Will we see another really good pit stop out of Apollo High, the outside pole sitter? But Zach Rogers leading every single lap of this race. Or is he? It looks like Ian Cooper. Is Cooper going to get a lap led there as he stayed out, I believe? Or is Cooper a lap down?
It looks like he's being scored as the leader.
So it is going to be not a wire-to-wire in the purest sense for Rogers, but Ian Cooper is going to stay out to get a lap led there in that 2 machine.
Oh, Hyde.
And Hyde, was that a 2-tire stop out of Hyde? It was.
I think it was.
Apollo Hyde with a bold strategy. And that's going to give some competition there for Zach Rogers, and I applaud the strategy out of Hyde. I don't know how much dividends that's going to pay off for Hyde, because, again, we saw the 100 machine flat spot the tires going around through the corners, doing that dually spin off of turn 2. Didn't affect the car a whole lot. Is a 2-tire stop for track position going to be the way to go for Hyde? I don't know if Hyde is able to pull off this win. So you got Schizzato, who is on the tail end of the lead lap, and you got Ian Cooper right now in front of Zach Rogers, and this has been the most traffic that Zach Rogers has had out in front of him all evening long. Lights are still on the pace car, so I don't believe that they'll be going green. We'll have to wait and see if they're going to be going green this time by, because remember last week we had the issue with the pace car, Caleb, where I had the Curtis Turner. Now the lights will come off. So with 20 laps to go, Ian Cooper out front for the first time this evening, and glad to see Cooper, the founder of the TM Master Cup Series, out for a couple of laps led here in that 2 machine. Apollo Hyde in second, and Zach Rogers, the deepest in the field he has been all afternoon. It'll be a 20-lap dash to the end here at the Chicago Motor Speedway in the round of Chicago. Green flag back out in the air. And Rogers immediately to the inside, and Hyde shuts the door. Here comes Sims on the outside of Hyde. Complete dogfight for the race lead, and Hyde has a rear end mirror full of Zach Rogers. Here comes the Bulldog to the inside of Hyde. Is that 2-tire call gonna nip Hyde in the butt? I believe it might. Sims gunning for second. Side by side for the second spot is Zach Rogers. Immediately back out in front of that 88 car.
What a restart there out of Zach Rogers. Already back to the race lead. Apollo Hyde down to second. Sims third. LeBron fourth. Ian Cooper with a block on Nicky Conti trying to hold on to fifth. Drew Fast also in this mix as well. Let's try to go around the outside there for the fifth position. We got a great battle heating up back here, but I don't think this battle for the lead is quite over and done yet.
Really, I think the biggest battle right back in here for these guys is battle for fifth. We've seen the class of the field be in the big four right now. Zach Rogers trying to hold his own. Coming around to 15 laps to go here in just a couple of laps. And what does Apollo Hyde have back in the tank? And how long do those left side left side?
Cooper gets punted by Drew Fast.
Cooper got punted out of the way. Able to hold on to it there. Now an aggressive block to the outside. Focusato gets shoved into the outside wall. Focusato was looking for the crossover as Fast will take the fifth spot away. Make that the sixth spot, in fact. LePron now underneath of Jelaine Sims. The battle for third heating up. We've got battles all over the racetrack. It's again a murder hornet's nest back in here on the tail end of the field. Coming around to 15, 16 laps to go. Durbin got really tight back in there. He's able to save it. And Aves hits the outside wall of the boot, but he's able to keep that 86 Mazda straight.
More price to pay for salvation.
Cooper nearly wheel hopping is Rafael Sorensen. Spin to the middle of the racetrack, somehow does not clip Trek Togger. That's Rich Roy clipping Andrew Estrada. Estrada going around in the 25. Is that enough for a multi? It is. Caution flag is back out. The 8th caution of the evening. And you and I, Caleb, were just screaming on top of one another during that 6-lap run. Action all over the racetrack. Holy shnikey.
What a chain of events that was. Oh my goodness.
That's fuel for you. That is absolutely fuel racing at its finest. And Don LaPrade, oh boy. LaPrade leading everybody down the pit lane. Trek Togger and Kenny Comp. Actually, Togger was the one. I believe he was involved in that incident, so he cannot pit this time. And Kenny Compo's staying out as well. I don't know if they are. I don't know what the situation is for those guys. But right now, this is going to be the money stop for these drivers. Gonna get this race restarted, probably with about 10, 11 laps to go. And does Apollo Hyde try for the 2-tire stop again as well? Jelaine Sims! Sims and LaPrade go 2 tires. And Tyler Stallhood does as well. They saw the 2-tire strategy worked as well on the restarts. And how about Tyler Stallhood? He is going to go up to 5th on this restart. And Kenny Campos and Trek Togger, they stayed out.
I think they're going to be leading the field back.
Yeah, and are we getting the green flag this time by? We are.
We are. Oh, hold on to your hats.
Oh, my Lord.
Pull those belts tight. Here we go.
14 laps to go. Trek Togger, the sponsoree of this race, leads the field back. Here comes Campos to the inside. Sims trying to make it 3 wide going into turn 1. Everybody scrambling for cover. Togger somehow gets through. Togger trying to hold off Jelaine Sims. Sims on the back end of the 60.
Times, and here comes LaPrade.
Here's LaPrade on the outside, 3 wide for the race lead. Stallhood on those 2 tires trying to make quick work. Sims to the race lead. LaPrade going to 2nd. Here comes the Bulldog. However, Rogers not out of this fight yet. Rogers a little bit. LaPrade with a little bit of a wheel hop going through the corner. That's going to open the door for Rogers. Togger and Stallhood trying to fall back in there. Rogers, a man on a mission, and LaPrade loose off of the corner. He backs it into the outside wall off of turn 4. Will hold the 74 car up for the 2nd week in a row. LaPrade spins out in the late stages of a race. Somebody else back down the pit lane. That was Andrew Estrada. But now the battle is on between the 2 Team Velocity teammates. Sims and Rogers right now nose to tail. Sims on 2 tires, Rogers on 4. Tyler Stallhood trying to hold on to 3rd right now. Trying to baby that 7 car home to a podium spot. Here's Rogers right on the back end of Sims. The 2 teammates side by side. Under 10 laps to go here at Chicago. Rogers rotating to the center of the quarter. A really good rotation there for Rogers. Hyde is now up to 3rd. These 2 get together for the race lead. That's going to open the door for Hyde. Sims trying to fight hard on those 2 right side tires, but Zach Rogers will not quit. He will not die. Sims's momentum dies going into the outside wall, and Zach Rogers back out on point. 9 laps to go, and do we have another caution flag in our sleeves? The way that this race has gone, I would not be surprised if We get another caution coming out. This last 25 laps of this round of Chicago, it's more like been the round of Chirac out here with how aggressive and how insane of a battleground this Chicago Motor Speedway has been. 8 to go for Zach Rogers. 3 cars now under a napkin right now for the race lead. Sims trying to charge back, but it's going to fall into the clutches of Hyde. And the battle is on for 4th right now, and Tyler Stallhood looking pretty stout. And how about Crystal Bennett somehow has made their way up inside the top 10? They could be getting a top 5 run in that 84 car. And Estrada around on the front straightaway. Is that a single car spin that's in front of the leaders? Estrada able to pull away from everybody, and that was nearly disaster. Estrada still turned around, and this has been a race of all time on the nicest lap of the race. 2 more times around until the point of no return. And that was realistically the last chance for a caution. Hyde and Sims going side by side for the penultimate position. Really good roll through the center of the corner for Hyde. Can Sims cross over? I don't think Sims has enough grip compared to the 100 to potentially cross back over. They're going to try, and they're going to hold off on it. Couple hundred more feet before this race is official. 5, count 'em, 5 laps to go in the round of Chicago. We're past the point of no return. Your final destination, your car. Doesn't matter, we remain green. And Zach Rogers trying to continue to hold on, but what does Apollo Hyde have left in that Honda? Last time by Hyde, 0.8 of a second back behind Rogers. Might run out of time trying to catch up to that 88, but they're within striking distance, and Rogers into the outside wall. That's going to bring his momentum down quite a bit. That's the first mistake he's made this afternoon. That might cost him. Hyde, the closest to that 88 car that anybody has been all evening long. 4 laps to go. Hyde trying to stuff that 100 car in deep. Does she have enough grip to try to get around Rogers? And Rogers might have their biggest challenge of the evening. A balls to the wall Apollo Hyde, who is right behind that 88 car. 3 laps to go as Hyde continues to dive that Epson machine in deep. These two still side by side on top, or rather nose to tail on top of one another. Rogers coming around to 2 laps to go. Hyde trying to catch up to the 88, lost a little bit of ground off of the corner, and that might be the end of that run. 2 laps to go. Sticks high in the air here at Chicago. It has been a crazy evening so far of racing. Does this race have one more trick up its sleeve? Zach Rogers, 65 laps led, trying to lead one more this time around. He will see the white flag come out one more time around. Hyde with a big run off of the corner. 1 mile to go here at Chicago. Hyde stuffing it in deep. She's got a ledge to the inside of the 88. They're side by side going down the back straightaway. Rogers got loose off of the corner. Here comes Hyde. Half a mile to go with Chicago. It's going to come down to between turns 3 and 4. Hyde shoving it in deep. It's not going to be enough.
Apollo with a run.
Hyde with a good run coming off the final corner.
Not
gonna get there in time, and Zach Rogers holds on by the skin of his bumper to win the round of Chicago.
What a finish.
5 in a row, by far his closest of the season, and that went down to the absolute wire. Holy Christmas. Oh my Lord. I'm surprised Hyde didn't go down to the inside after getting that run off of turn 4. They settled it out in a dogfight to the end, but it's Zach Rogers continuing his domination streak. Wow. Rogers will burn it down on the front straightaway. 5th win in a row for Rogers, and Mr. September streak adding another chapter in that 88 car. If you don't have Zach Rogers as your odds-on favorite to win the championship, I really don't know what else to tell you. 5 wins in a row. A triple-digit lead in the points category as he burns it down the front straightaway. He has been getting pretty damn good at these John Force-style burnouts, Caleb. What a race. What a race.
I don't even know what to say about that. Wow.
8 caution flags. Final margin of victory, 1.57 tenths of a second. Or, yeah, a tenth of a 15 hundredths of a second. Zach Rogers getting it done over Apollo Hyde by the closest margin of victory that we've seen. You take a look at your official standings. You got Blake Warren and Bill Turner finishing down in here, down at the bottom in 21st and 22nd. But Zach Rogers, Apollo Hyde, Jelaine Sims, Tyler Stallhood, Drew Fast, your top 5. Then Crystal Bennett, Nikki Conti, Rafaela Sorensen, Ike Durbin, Ian Cooper, your top 10. But we are not done with this race. It has been an incredible race so far. But we're not quite out of the woods yet, Caleb, because we have still got our post-race interviews coming up here in just a couple of moments. But a fantastic, fantastic race here coming down to the absolute wire. We'll hear from Zach Rogers, Apollo Hyde, and Jelaine Sims, who finished in 3rd, here in just a couple of moments here on the NESRN. And we welcome you back to the Chicago Motor Speedway after a fantastic race here for the Round of Chicago. And Zach Rogers getting the job done here at the Chicago Motor Speedway in an incredibly wild race here in Cicero, Illinois. Trey Wright and Caleb Rose bringing you the action of probably the wildest race of the season so far. And we'll get into our interview process here, starting the number 31, where the driver, the number 06 Granger Chevrolet Camaro for Team Velocity, Jelaine Sims, here on the call. Got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth, Jelaine?
Yeah, I do. Hello.
Well, you absolutely, if we can, I believe, actually, give me one moment. Added the wrong audio application to the channel that I wanted to. So I believe should be good to go on that front. So, Jelaine, you got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Yeah, I do.
So you certainly had quite an interesting race, being mostly on the back end of your Team Velocity teammate for the majority of this race. But then came the final 25-lap stretch, where it was caution, crazy restart, a lot of racing, and then you were able to end up finishing in third in this race. How was your race overall?
I had so much fun. It was very exhausting. These flat tracks are so exhausting always. But I had a lot of fun. The battle to me was just between me and Dunn the whole time, and unfortunately Dunn wrecked late there. But it was a pretty fun race. I don't think I had anything against Zach or Apollo, but I had a lot of fun.
Definitely having a lot of fun out there. And we saw a lot of drivers getting loose on the flat part of the racetrack, and we saw you get a little loose down there a couple of times. You were able to save it. You know, how tough is it driving at a flat track like this? You know, it's only 6 degrees of banking, the flattest track on the schedule here for the Fuel Racing League. Your take on just how tough of a track it is here at Chicago?
It's just terrifying. It's terrifying because I feel like everybody around me, at least all the fast guys around me, they could send it so much deeper into the corner than I could. I thank Zach for the setup. It was really good. I don't know how to set up these flat tracks, but like this basically the strat, in my opinion, was to break very deep into the corner. And whenever I would do that, I would feel like I'd be loose all the way through the center to the exit. So I had to be a little bit safer and try and get a better exit. But you know, if I'm trying to make pace, I would get a little bit loose. But I'm happy I didn't wreck at all. But it was hard.
It definitely was. And of course, the wild, probably 5 or 10 lap scramble right at the end. You know, what went into the call, taking 2 tires? Did you see it work for Apollo Hyde for a brief moment and thought, hey, we're going to do 2 as well and see where things go?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I thought with how short that run was, I think it was like at least like at most 5 laps. I'm not sure, but with how short that run was, I was expecting everyone to take 2. I didn't want to be the odd one out, but it was only me and Dunn that took 2, but I think the run was just a little bit too long. And honestly, I fell off like in 5 laps. So I mean, I think 4 tires was the better call, but with the other 2 people staying out, I know I had to get something done. And you know, I got to make some plays to win some races. So I tried my best, but just a little short.
Yeah, Caleb, you got anything for our 3rd place finisher?
I definitely got to say that was a fantastic race and a fantastic performance by you out there tonight. Definitely have to applaud on that late strategy call there to get some track position, because definitely have to admit it was definitely a bit more of a technical track, and I really do like that call there for track position. So just a all around fantastic job out there tonight, and yeah, congratulations on bringing home a podium spot.
Thank you.
And definitely were. And of course, as we're being accustomed to here on the North American Sim Racing Network, you know the drill. We'll give you the floor to shout out any sponsors you want here on the NESRN airwaves. If there's anybody you want to thank, the floor is yours, Jelaine.
Thank you, Zach, for having me as his teammate. I'm so sad I missed 2 races in a row. Or it was probably like 3, but I'm back. I'm gonna be making the rest of the season. I have a lot of fun this league. Thank you for Zach for pretty much just making the stats for me every week. And thanks to y'all for broadcasting. I have so much fun up here at Fuel. Yes, I can't wait to watch this back. All right, yeah, thank y'all.
Definitely was a fantastic race here this evening, and congratulations once again, Jolene, on a third place run. We'll hopefully see you next week on the road course in Mid-Ohio.
Right, thank you.
User was moved out of your channel.
That was Jolene Sims, driver of the number 06 Granger Chevrolet Camaro for Team Velocity. And now we'll go into our runner-up finisher, driver of the number 100 Mobile One Machine. I think that 100 car was flying quite a bit like a Pegasus here this evening. Apollo Hyde with a runner-up spot. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
I definitely do.
Well, you certainly had quite the interesting race, to say the very least. You got loose on the low part of the racetrack, did a quick 720, and then were able to gun all the way up to a second place run here in that 100. How was your race overall, first off?
I mean, take my Michigan race last week, double it and give it to the next guy. That's pretty much what happened there. Literally same carbon copy of a race, pretty much. I had a really strong car. The only difference is with this race, my car was firing off terribly on restarts. That's why I ended up spinning underneath Dunn there that one time. So our car was really not good in the first 2-3 laps, but once we started getting a little bit of heat into the tires, the car just gripped like anything. This was definitely more of a tire heat merchant setup, and it really needed the heat in the tires in order to be really good. And once it caught the heat, I mean, this thing would just lay down lap after lap after lap, super consistently, no issues whatsoever. It was a gorgeous car. Can't say anything other than great things about the crew to bring me here. This is pretty much the car that we ran third at in New Hampshire. It's the same car that I ended up setting the speedrun.com record lap time with. I know it's a fast car, and yeah, I think that we delivered just about as good as we could. Would have liked that P1, but it was just a matter of, could I get my car in the position I wanted on the last lap, and didn't exactly pan out how I wanted.
Yeah, and you're able to have a really good recovery there after going around. But again, you mentioned that New Hampshire race last year, and I felt like this race, it was not as chaotic in terms of the amount of cautions out in last year's 15 yellow flag New Hampshire race, but still, I believe 8 or 9 on the grid here tonight. What is it like being a front runner under all those cautions right at the start of the race, knowing, like you mentioned, you need the heat in that setup to get things going, and then it's a 2-lap dash or immediately under caution, and it feels like the pace car is leading the most laps. So what is it like? What is that mindset going into, just trying to anticipate those long runs?
Yeah, so every single restart is nerve-wracking, especially at a track like this. Every single restart is nerve-wracking. You don't know if you're going to get a bad start and if the person behind you is going to try to dive you going into turn 1. You need to mind the person in front of you, make sure you don't run them over. So it's really, really, really difficult, and especially with a car like mine that just had absolutely no rear grip for the first 2 or 3 laps on a run. It's just extremely nerve-wracking. And yeah, I can't really come up with the words to describe it, but it's really, you really have to have nerves of steel on races with a lot of restarts like this. It adds a lot of anxiety to it.
Yeah, and you definitely had nerves of steel in those final couple of laps, as Caleb and I were pretty much screaming on that final battle between you and Zach, especially on those final couple of laps where you were just diving it in corner after corner, and you were able to get side by side with him on the front, or going into turn 1 on the final lap. Walk us through that final lap. What do you think you could have done better to try and get that win?
So the final lap was pretty interesting. I knew that I had a little bit better car than Zach, as it's been the past couple of times. I think last 3 races now, I think I've had a car that's better than Zach on the last run. Haven't exactly been able to get around him, but I felt like this was probably my best shot so far. I made up a ton of time on corner exit in turns 3 and 4, and I thought to myself, okay, I want to be on that outside lane again so I could try to diamond the car, and then I'm just going to rocket it off of turn 2 the best I can and then send it into turn 3. What I wasn't expecting was Zach to take the exact line I wanted to be in, and then I just saw the bottom was there, so I took it. Now, I knew I probably wasn't going to be able to pass him, but I was thinking to myself, if I could just at least be side by side with him getting to turn 3, maybe I have a chance at making this work out. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and really what I needed to do was go through Zach's car pretty much in order to get the run out off the corner I would have needed in order to be able to pass him. I just was not in a position to set myself up to try to get him off the last corner there. Just really excellent late racecraft, pretty much between the top 4 all night long. And yeah, I'm really glad with how this race turned out.
Definitely was quite a barn burner for Caleb and I to call up in the booth. Caleb, you got anything for our runner-up finisher?
Definitely have to say that was an absolutely spectacular race and a spectacular finish there to cap it all off. And definitely have to give you a lot of praise there for that recovery all race long and ended up there in second place. Watching you there after that spin happened, I definitely got to give you a lot of credit for that, marching your way still through the field there while the tires are probably screaming out for help after going around there. But yeah, definitely have to give you a lot of credit overall there for that run. And like I said, just a fantastic battle there at the end between you and Rogers and a spectacular performance and the race overall. So definitely great job out there, man.
Thank you very much, Caleb, and we'll keep the momentum up. I won't be at the Mid-Ohio race, but I will be at the race after, which I'm pretty sure is Las Vegas. So I can't wait for that.
No, I can't wait for that Las Vegas race as well. If you guys saw the Sportsman race a couple of weeks ago for Las Vegas, the Max Buchanan Foundation 100.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't already seen that, go check it out here on the North American Sim Racing Network.
Watch that race.
That was certainly one of the greatest races of all time that I have called here on this channel, and that was something else, and I can't wait to see what these guys can do here on an open setup. But Apollo, you know the drill already. We'll give you the floor to shout out anybody you want here on the NASRN airwaves. Any sponsors you want to thank, the floor is yours.
Yep, so I will shout out this weekend. One of my friends is going to be releasing an album along with a concert. They are Aiden. They are releasing their album Promethesia, and they are doing a concert at, I believe it's The Pocket in DC, and I'm going to be there, and if there's still tickets available, I highly suggest going ahead and checking that out. If you're in the Baltimore, DC metro area, go to this concert. They are amazing. Aiden is so awesome. Please come out. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You guys will all love it.
I definitely will. I have to check that out. But Apollo, congratulations on another runner-up finish in that 100 machine. I believe that you're going to be giving Zach Rogers a run for his money at that incredible Las Vegas race here in a fortnight. But that is then and this is now. We'll see you here in 2 weeks. Congratulations.
Thank you, Trey. Have a good one.
You as well.
User was moved out of your channel.
That was Zach Rogers, that was Apollo Hyde, driver of the number 100 Mobile One Epson Honda Accord. And finally, we'll bring you to the man we've been waiting for.
User was moved to your channel.
Here in the driver of this number 88 machine, Mr. 5 in a row this season, 7 in a row in terms of both last season and this season. The Bulldog, Zach Rogers, you got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that this was definitely the race that you had to put in a lot of work to make things happen. You dominated this race, but up until that final restart and up until the final set of corners, it looked like that might all be in jeopardy with Apollo Hyde right on your rear end. We'll start at the finish of this race. Take us through that final lap with Apollo Hyde. We get a rear view mirror of that Honda Accord right behind you. Take us through and walk us through that final lap.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be close enough to send it in there and won, but he was, and he got it to slow down in time, and I just had to hold my door as close to his, come on off a 2 to make sure I could get a good run on exit to where I could clear him going into 3, and then I could just, cover entry into 3 and prevent any dive bomb again to where it would have been really close coming to the checkered flag.
Definitely was, and you were able to edge him out by your closest margin of victory of the season, a 1.57 second margin of victory between you and Apollo Hyde. But, overall, the start of this race, I don't know if you were in last year's New Hampshire race, but there was 15 cautions. It looked like in the early stages of this race, it was trending in that direction. What is the mindset being a driver right at the front end of the field where you're trying to get a nice green flag run going, you're trying to get into a rhythm, but it's 3 laps and a caution, it's a restart, and then it's wash, rinse, repeat. What's just the mindset going through there, and how are you able to just, focus your way towards the end of the race where we are going to see those green flag runs?
Yeah, well, I was in that New Hampshire race, and I did win it. It was another good battle between me and Apollo in that one. There's really no good way to deal with it. Tonight was not nearly as bad as New Hampshire last year. It was pretty rough in the beginning there, but once we got a few runs, you start to just, you go through enough crapshoots that you kind of just eventually block out the yellows until it's like if we had 5 1 lap yellows in a row, I might have said something, but we didn't. It was like 1, and then we went a few, and then it was 1 and 1. But you kind of just keep that stuff to yourself, and you just kind of let it go and get ready for the next restart.
Definitely was, and you were able to weather the storm, but it's all the way until the end of this race on that final set of pit stops where you saw both your teammate of Jolene Sims and Dunn LaPrade taking 2 tires compared to your 4.
Dunn's not a teammate.
Or, Jolene Sims, your teammate, and then Dunn LaPrade, your on-track rival is what I should say. And just being able, what was the strategy going, restarting that race in 5th with 10 laps to go, knowing that you had the freshest tires on the field, just gunning it?
Yeah, well, first off, under the yellow, we had only gone, I think, 5 or so laps, and I wasn't sure if anyone was even going to consider pitting. I wasn't sure if anyone had really picked up on how much wear there was, if anyone was looking to add tape or whatnot, but we were going through 3, and I saw a ton of people starting with Dunn that were committing to pit, and I wasn't sure if Dunn was going to fake it or not, but I saw everyone else behind Dunn going down, and I was like, well, even if Dunn, Apollo, and Jolene stay out, I'll be the fastest of the rest of us, probably in 4th to 7th, depending who takes 2. I knew some people were going to take 2, and I was going to be knowing I was going to take 4. I was going to add a little more track bar into it. I wasn't looking at tape. There was still too many laps, but Apollo made 70% work, but that would have been way too much anxiety for me. And, you're rolling the dice when you do stuff like that. But yeah, once I saw Dunn and them pitting, I was like, well, Apollo and Jolene can stay out if they want. And then I pit, and they followed me in, and we had 2 guys that were outside the top 10 stay out. So that spiced it up. And yeah, just had to go to work. And in 1 there, I was just like, I just got to make sure I can get 3 wide to the inside of Stallhood and whoever else it was and get by them before Apollo got by me, especially now knowing that Apollo had taped up. If Apollo had gotten by me right away, there would have been no catching them.
Definitely was, and of course, you continue your hot streak here in the Fuel Racing League and across NR2003 online as well. It's your 5th win in a row. You have just been completely torrent through this month of September. Are you still undefeated in this month?
Yeah, I ended up not racing MOT Monday night, so that has kept me undefeated in the month, and I have a current streak of 16 in a row across NR League. So it would have ended Monday if I had raced, but my mother was up from Florida. So I was spending time with her and my stepdad and my grandfather because my grandmother's been in the hospital for some stuff. So I didn't care to run a super speedway doubleheader when I could spend time with family. So I skipped those. So technically, you can't lose them if you don't start them,
Yeah. Well, we definitely wish her well. And of course, hey, this is the final fuel race of the month of September. So next time we'll see you will be at Mid-Ohio. Hopefully you can sweep everything in a row, and we'll be able to call you Mr. September.
Yeah, I won Mid-Ohio two years ago in season 1. It was a small field then, but I dominated it, I'm pretty sure. So,
well, it's October 1st, so hopefully we'll see what happens here in a week.
October still have been a very good month for me statistically. So September's just little bit better. But hopefully, Dunn's able to be there for this road course. I'd love for us to duke it out. I heard Ian Cooper say that they really like road courses, so hopefully they're able to make it out. I'd love to see what they're capable of on a road course. I think they said that they need to get a new wheel at some point, but so I'm expecting good things from them. So hopefully the three of us and maybe whoever else is really good at that track shows up. It'll be a good time. But I haven't touched the track in 2 years, so I'll have to do a little practice. But I think my setup from 2 years ago will be fine.
Yeah. Hey, my experience in Mid Ohio was getting heat exhaustion at the ARCA race there, so I think I'm fine in the broadcast booth for that. But Caleb, you got anything for our race winner?
Well, definitely have to say what a race that was, and what a performance there out of you. Like I said, every restart, every run after that, you were just absolutely on rails here tonight, and definitely had to bring that one home. Like I said, just wouldn't be tonight after tonight. So congratulations on every bit of that win, man. You absolutely deserve that one.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, this was probably the first time in a while that I've had to put a lot of effort into making a setup because I had never run this track before. Figured at first we could just throw the New Hampshire setup at it, but the New Hampshire setup felt really weird. Then Sunday night, I heard that the fast setup was somehow running the same laps as what I was running on my New Hampshire setup. So then I ran laps on that, and I was faster with the fast setup. So then I built the setup around that. And then this morning, Apollo pointed out that the track, for some reason, was set up as a chassis 2 track when it should be a chassis 3 track. So, I had been kind of straddling the middle at that point this morning. And then when I heard it was chassis 2, I was like, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to turn the tire pressures up some more. And did that early afternoon, got another 3/4 tenths and out of the race setup. And yeah, we were pretty much gold tonight.
You definitely were gold, and you were able to stand on the top podium here for the 5th race in a row. Zach, you know the drill by now. We'll give you the floor to name out any sponsors. Shout out anybody you want here on the NASRN airwaves. The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, first off, got to thank my painter, Cody Lamas, even though he hasn't responded to me in a week about some stuff he's supposed to be doing for me. But shout out Cody for all the paint schemes he's done. I love being able to I don't know if I'm his most successful customer or not. Probably am, at least on the NR side. But I can't say how much I appreciate him doing the schemes he does for me. They're all great looking paint schemes. Got to shout out you guys for the broadcast. Hopefully I can hear Caleb this time when I listen back.
I can assure you we can. We have we finally figured out to put the TeamSpeak audio on a separate higher track. So
okay,
we got that all figured out.
There you go. Yeah. Got to thank Tyler, of course, for the league. And shout out Tyler, still being able to use both his hands tonight and being able to race with us and whatnot. That, don't wish injury upon anyone, and accidents happen all the time in the world. It's crazy sometimes how close accidents can happen to people, and stuff like that. And then I got, of course, shout out teammate to Jolene. Kept sending them setup update after setup update before she had really done any testing of her own. She had a ton of speed tonight. It was nice being able to say that, 2 of the 4 contenders were Team Velocity cars, so that was pretty cool. And also gave the setup to Ike. I've been helping Ike out since he runs the same wheel settings as me, and he had pretty good pace for what I would expect out of somebody who's coming to a hard flat track such as this for their first time. So I don't know where he ended up, but it looked like he had good speed throughout practice and qualifying.
Durbin ended up finishing in the 9th spot.
Yep. Yeah. Top 10 out of 22 cars. Can't complain with that.
Definitely can't complain. Well, Zach, thank you so much for joining the post-race show. We'll see you next week at Mid-Ohio, and hopefully you'll be able to officially crowned Mr. September, sweeping the entire month of the year, 9th month of the year. But congratulations on a hard-fought win here at the Chicago Motor Speedway in the Round of Chicago.
Yeah, so I only have 2 races left that I'm running. I have Open Setup Cup race at Bomb Squad tomorrow night. Those ones don't count towards my total because they're technically fun runs and we're in our off season, but it would still count as being undefeated. And then Fast is running Kansas Sunday. I ran that track 2 years ago and I hated it because it was pretty much flat out and you were kind of just stuck if you were in the draft train. So we'll see how that one goes, but it doesn't need to be a perfect month. It's already been a very successful month for me, so I can't complain.
It definitely has. Well, congratulations to you, my man. We'll see you next week in Mid-Ohio.
Right on.
User left your channel.
That was Zach Rogers, driver of the number 88 Red Bull Team Velocity Chevrolet Camaro, winner of the Round of Chicago here at the Chicago Motor Speedway. And just what an absolute banger of a race here this evening, Caleb. Final thoughts on just an absolute fantastic race. There's nothing else I can really say.
Yeah, that was just such a fun race here from Chicago. That was, like I said, we saw action, great battles pretty much all throughout the night. And in the end, we had an absolutely spectacular run to the finish there between Zach Rogers and Applied. Arguably two of some of the best here in this series, going at it all the way up until the checkered flag flew. That was just an absolutely incredible ride there from start to finish here from the Windy City.
It definitely was, and we'll give you another top-down running order in case you missed it earlier. Zach Rogers, your race winner of the Round of Chicago. He is 5 for 5 so far this season. Paulo Hyde finished in second. Jelaine Sims round out the podium in third. Tyler Stallhood with his best finish of the season in fourth, backing up that second-place run at the Old Spice Raceway. Last Friday evening, Drew Fast rounds out the top 5. Crystal Bennett with a nice recovery. All things considered, everything that she went through, she finishes in 6th. Nikki Conti finishes in 7th. 8th was Rafaela Sorensen. 9th, Ike Durbin. Top 10 rounded out by Ian Cooper. And a big shout out to both Ian Cooper and Trek Togger for bringing the action here for tonight's race. Of course, Trek Togger, the main sponsor of this race, but Ian Cooper bringing the unofficial theme for the TM Master Cup Series here at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Vincenzo Focusato rounded out in 11th. Dunn LaPrade fell back to 12th after a late race spin. 13th was Rich Roy. 14th, the aforementioned Trek Togger. Top 15, bookended there by Brendan Whitford. 16th was Kenny Campos. 17th, Andrew Estrada. 18th, Emmy Schizzato. 19th was Connor Edwards. 20th was RJ Bishop. 21st was Blake Warren. And 22nd was Bill Turner, who ended up finishing this race in the garage area along with that number 8 car of Blake Warren. Same thing with Emmy Schizzato and Connor Edwards and Andrew Estrada. They were the 6 cars that failed to finish the race. But that's going to do it here from the Chicago Motor Speedway. Congratulations once again to Zach Rogers for winning the Round of Chicago here in Cicero, Illinois. We will be back here next week, 8:55 Eastern Time, for the start of round number 6 for the Bum and Beaver Brewery Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio next week at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Circuit, all the way over in Ohio. That's going to be a fantastic race here. Of course, broadcast time, airtime 8:55 Eastern, exclusively on the Home for the Fuel Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. But on behalf of Caleb Rose coming on here again on behalf of the Fuel Racing League, my name is Trey Wright saying so long from Cicero, Illinois. We'll see you guys next week for race number 6 of the season, Bum and Beaver Brewery Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Have a great evening, folks, and enjoy your weekend.